Hey everyone, welcome to Chicago Autism Network's virtual parent workshops. Tonight, we are very excited to have Chelsey Harmon and Allison Wachal here with us. They are both BCBAs from North Shore Pediatric Therapy, and they're going to help us learn how to manage and survive the holidays with all of the craziness that goes on with that. So I'll turn the time over to them.
All right, thank you, Kimmy. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Just move some things around. All right. So once again, thanks for joining tonight. My name is Chelsey Harmon. I am a BCBA and Center Director at North Shore Pediatric Therapy in Naperville.
And I'm Allison Wachal, BCBA at the Glenview location for North Shore Pediatric Therapy.
Yes, and we're going to talk a little bit tonight about, like Kimmy said, how to survive the holidays with differences in our routines, different behaviors that may arise. So let's get started.
We touched a little bit on this, but yeah, we'll be discussing the holiday season and, things that come up with it, challenging behaviors that, our kids might experience. We're going to discuss the why behind the behaviors, preventing and, strategies to help prevent the behaviors and how to help your child work through these behaviors when they're occurring. Okay. So starting off with the holidays might spark behaviors. Why is that? We've got school closures, there's winter break for 2 weeks. There's a change in their whole routine, which also then falls into lack of routine. If, they're used to having their structure, their day being structured out. Now they're home from school and, leisure skills is a skill that maybe they're still developing. It's an emerging skill that they just don't have, the skill to go ahead and pick out a coloring book or do puzzles. So, there's the lack of routine going in with them. With the holidays, you're always going to going to families' houses or people you haven't seen in a long time, or, it's the first time, where you're hosting your big holiday party and you're seeing your family and extended family. There's new environments. You could be an example of that is, taking your kid ice skating for the first time, or, if you're in the Chicago area, what is it? The Kris Kringle Market. It's a new place. You don't see it all the time. So that could spark a behavior. Sensory sensitivities. Another example of that is, it could be cold. And, our kids sometimes struggle with saying that, like expressing that they're cold, or even bright lights, or the fact that the lights are flashing. If you go to Lincoln Park Zoo or Brookfield Zoo lights, that could be a cause for why, behaviors are occurring. Oh yeah, next. And so the why, the why behind this, why is my child behaving like this? What is it that's causing them to either, cover their ears or hand flap, or even, jump around and be excited. Sometimes, I've got kids that are so excited, they'll run across the room and it's like, oh, like what's going on here? There's 4 different causes that are, possible, and something to take note of when you guys are out in the community or at, grandma's house for the first time in the year. Something to take note is, is it that they want your attention? If you're at the dinner table and you're talking to your siblings, your cousins, your aunt, your uncle, has it been a couple minutes before you've, said hi to your kid, and, they're getting to your face or tapping on your shoulders going, mom, or dad, that could be an, example of what's happening. Another possibility is we call it escape or avoidance. For an example, could be if it's Christmas carols, or they don't like the sound of a certain Christmas song, they could be covering their ears, or, that is a type of escape or avoidance, to block out that noise. So, an example of to help that is, wearing headphones, or like having the volume just a little bit lower, and then, helping them increase that tolerance of it. Another example is another type of reason why they could be behaving like this is that they want a specific item or toy. Especially it's Christmas time or it's the holidays, we're going Christmas shopping, gift shopping. You're walking into the stores, it's hard to say no to your kid if they pick up, all these cool toys or all these really, bright new technology stuff that's coming out. So that could be a reason why that, they might be tantruming is, they're used to getting a toy, they're used to getting candy when they go into the store, or even not even purchasing an item, but they just know, hey, I walk into a store, I get the iPad, and then who knows, like the iPad dies that one day that, it happens, we forget to charge it. That could be a reason behind it as well. Another reason why the child might be behaving like this is it makes them feel good. There's kids that I work with where they'll hum if they hear a certain song, or if it's too loud for them, they'll start humming, and that's just an automatic. It makes them feel good. It's helping themselves regulate, and overall, or even just hand flapping, and it's helping them regulate whatever the situation is that they're in. And here are some prevention strategies that Chelsey's going to go over. I'm just going to list them. Some, when it comes to the holidays, avoid specific situations or people, or even, make note of it. Like, if they always have a hard time walking into a grocery store, if they always have a hard time, make note of that. And we'll discuss it later on, but make note of it and bring it up to your BCBA if you guys are working with the BCBA. And that's something that we can help, throughout the year and combat that. Control the environment, do things in smaller doses or steps. I know even as a BCBA, like you taking a step back and noticing that there are mini steps, there's baby steps in order to get to the big picture, and recognize that when you guys are, with your kids and you notice like, oh my gosh, like why did Jimmy have such a hard time with seeing Santa today? And, maybe it was because he had to wait in line, or there was 10 other kids that he had to stand next to. It's something we just don't think about it in the day to day. And then once we see it and take a step back and reevaluate, like, oh, like, yeah, maybe we got to work on him being able to stand in lines and waiting. Change the order of events if there's something less preferable. But sorry. And then, we'll go into deeper details of this, but I'm just getting excited. All right. And then responding to early signs of the problem, change how you ask or respond. Address setting events, use visual or auditory cues, give choices, and practicing. All right, Chelsey, take it away.
All right. So the prevention strategies that Allison just listed for us, I'm going to go into a little bit more detail, like she said, on them. So all of these prevention strategies that we are discussing actually came from a parent training curriculum that myself and a lot of other BCBAs use with parents. It is called the Ruby curriculum, and we have the reference at the very end of the presentation. But so some prevention strategies that Allison mentioned, so avoiding specific situations or people, like she said, if your child doesn't like running errands and maybe, their max is going out to one store, maybe try limiting your trips or limiting the number of places that you stop for an outing. Once again, if they, really despise going to Target or going to the grocery store, maybe we just drop them off at a babysitter's house if that's, plausible, or go at a different time when maybe they can stay home with somebody else. Controlling the environment. So once again, changing your child's scenery and make sure they are in preferred areas is a huge game changer for kiddos. Maybe if we are constantly, upstairs in our living room watching a movie and we notice that they're starting to get a little antsy, maybe screaming or engaging in some not so fun behaviors, maybe we move the movie party to the basement if we have one. So just kind of like controlling the environment a little bit, allowing them to sit in preferred places. As Allison was mentioning, a big holiday dinner, if they really enjoy sitting next to their big brother or to you or their little sister, maybe, letting them have that preferred seating at the big dinner table, since it's such a different experience for them. Do things in smaller doses, as I said. So if you have a bunch of holiday stops to make on a Saturday, but you know that your kiddo's threshold is maybe only like a drive through at a Starbucks and then we go to Target, maybe that's all we do for that day. And then we can pick up the errands later. Another one to try is practicing. So introducing different skills and activities multiple times before a main event. So kind of a sillier example of this one might be if you really have your heart set on taking a picture for a holiday card, maybe we practice, taking pictures. I know with some of my kids I've worked with in the past, I've worked on them seeing the camera on my phone and them smiling. Another one is if, it's getting colder outside, as Allison mentioned. If we are having a really tough time with wearing our winter coat or wearing snow boots, maybe we all just be silly for a day and we wear our snow boots around the house, if that's something that we can accommodate. Some more prevention strategies will be changing the order of events. So try having your child complete less preferred tasks before the really preferred ones. So if you get up in the morning and, we have to clean up the living room, we have to clean up our bedroom before we go to school, but your kiddo's already on the iPad, you're probably going to have a little bit of a tough time getting them off the iPad to go do that less preferred task, like cleaning our room. So try giving them, first we pick up our blocks, then you can have some iPad time. Respond to early signs of the problem behavior. So lots of our kiddos are giving us triggers and giving us, we call them precursor behaviors to the bigger problem behavior. So when you notice your child starting to get frustrated, starting to get triggered in a certain situation, help them calm down for a minute. If you need to take them out of a room, if everyone is like opening presents or, everyone starts laughing in a big room when you're with family and you start to see your kiddo, getting ready to really have a full-on meltdown, maybe take them out of the room and give them some time to just calm themselves down. Change how you ask or respond. So a big one during the holiday season is saying no a lot, because especially as Allison said, if you're taking your kiddos out to stores and doing some holiday shopping, they're going to hear no a lot probably. So try giving a lot of choices and using some different words just instead of saying no. So you can say things like maybe later, or oh, maybe you'll get that for the holidays, or well, we can't have this really big video game, but you can pick out like one of these 2 books, or you can pick out one of these 2 smaller toys or something. Address setting events. So things happening in the child's environment that may affect their behavior. So some really simple ones here is if your kiddo is getting tired, if they're getting hungry. I know during the holidays, a lot of families might go see a couple different families in the same day. So, making sure that if you know that your kiddo gets tired around 2 p.m. and they're going to start getting a little cranky, maybe, skipping out on an event or something and letting them have that time to just kind of relax and rest. If you know that your kiddo is going to get a little hungry around 5 o'clock, but the holiday dinner isn't until 7, let's pack some snacks for them. Really easy way to just address those simple setting events. Using visual or auditory cues. An excerpt taken from our Ruby curriculum is that visual and auditory cues can help the child process information, provide a sense of predictability, and promote flexibility and independence with the tasks of everyday living. If you are still going to try and keep up their normal routine when the schools are closed, if they don't go to school, this will just kind of help them to be able to predict what's coming next, and will make those transitions a little bit easier. Making visual schedules is super, super easy. I just use a Word doc sometimes and get some pictures from Google. So if you can make one for your child, or you have a therapist for your child that can make one, they're very, very useful. Another one is going to be auditory cues. So using things like timers. I know when school closures happen, some kiddos are staying up a little bit later, and that can definitely affect a kiddo's behavior. So if they want to stay up and keep on watching, Freeform's 25 Days of Christmas, but they gotta go to bed, let's set a timer for them. We can do 30 more minutes, and then once this timer goes off, we are done. We're going to bed. Some other types of cues are going to be choice boards. So having them be able to pick different things that they want to do in that moment. And also an elf on the shelf is a pretty good visual cue as well. I actually just talked to one of my kids' parents about an elf on the shelf today and how that can be used as reinforcement as well. And then giving choices. So giving choices is extremely beneficial for a lot of our kids. It gives them a sense of independence. It gives them a sense of, I get to choose what I get to do. And from an article, Harding, 1999, they did a whole study. Giving choices can result in following directions. So, if you're having a really tough time with your kiddo putting on their snow boots, all right, do you want to put on your snow boots, sitting down or standing up? Do you want to put your winter coat on, in the car or in the house? Giving them choices to still make decisions for themselves, but they are still following directions at the end of the day. Different types of choices, for dinners and, holiday meals with family. Do you want to sit next to mom or do you want to sit next to grandma? Should we hop around the store? Should we skate around the store? And then right before bedtime, if they still want to eat more, holiday cookies, do you want to make 2 more cookies before we go brush our teeth? Or do you want to make 3 more cookies before we go brush our teeth? So once again, still having that end goal with following that direction and following through, but also giving them the independence to kind of make that decision for themselves. And then help. My child is already having behaviors. What do I do? None of these prevention strategies worked. Just take a deep breath. Holidays are stressful for everyone, not just for our little ones who might be struggling, with some different developmental delays and whatnot. Being frustrated with your child will not help them calm down at the end of the day. And it's okay to validate their feelings. The holidays are stressful for me as well. And I'm a high functioning adult. So it's okay to have those big feelings around the holidays. There's a lot of changes in our routine, staying up later, eating a lot of sugar. There's a lot going on. So the first step from actually a training that we use as an organization called Safety Care. We use a lot of help, prompt, and waiting with our kids. So all this information was taken from their website, which is also included at the end of the presentation. So when your child is starting to engage in a big behavior, let's say we're having a big meltdown at Target, we're having a pretty big tantrum on Christmas morning. First, let's help them. Ask them what they need, ask them how you can help them. So some different examples of this can be if you know exactly what your child wants in that moment, help them make the request. Let's say they're trying to open up a toy and it's not opening up and they're starting to have that big tantrum. Go up to them and say, I need help, and have them repeat that request to you. You can also ask an open-ended question. So what do you want? What can I help you with? What do you need right now? And having them tell you what they need. And then you can also give choices. So, oh my goodness, do you want, mom to help you? Do you want dad to help you? Do you need scissors to open that, or can you do it by yourself? So giving them choices when helping. If that's not working and they are getting a little bit more agitated, then we're going to move to the prompt step. The prompt step is giving a direction to engage in a safer or calmer behavior. So one example can be giving an incompatible instruction. So an incompatible instruction is if I am picking at my fingernails and someone tells me to clap my hands, I can't do both at the same time. So let's say your child is just laying on the floor. They're in the middle of a tantrum, they're not listening to you. Maybe I tell them to stand up, or maybe I tell them to, roll over. An incompatible behavior that they can't do at the same time as the problem behavior that they're currently doing. Giving instructions that your child knows. So if you have a kiddo that that they can clap their hands when you ask them to, they can touch their nose, kind of increasing their momentum a little bit and then giving the harder instruction. So for example, let's say you're at a holiday party with your family, your kiddo is starting to get really upset. They're having a meltdown, they're laying down, and you're pulling out some instructions that your kiddo knows. Let's say, all right, clap your hands, good job, touch your nose, good. All right, can you stand up? And as soon as they stand up, give them praise for that because they followed that harder direction. And then if that doesn't work and your kiddo is having a really tough time, which happens, the last step is wait. So simply just wait for your child to calm down while keeping them safe. Sometimes, it's hard to work through a tantrum, especially when we have all of these outside factors kind of playing against us sometimes. So it's okay to just wait out that behavior until your child's ready to communicate with you.
And lastly, just remember there is always next year. Like I mentioned previously, take note of what your child and or family struggled with during the holiday season. Some examples of this could be, your child, you notice your child wasn't able to recognize their name written on their gift tag, or their name being called, sharing toys with siblings, change in routine, helping cleaning up, staying near parents at the store, or even a child wearing a holiday sweater. You guys all want to wear, if you want to wear like matching PJs, and it's like they don't like it. Take note of that. And if your family is working with the BCBA, share this information with them, and they can create goals to increase or decrease the skills for next year.
Yeah, absolutely. So now we will open it up to any questions that you guys have, or any concerns that you're currently struggling with.